Welcome to Off Their Rockers with your host, me, Dayna Steele, and Lisa Forehand, two women who have reinvented ourselves later in life and want to help other women do the same. We live, we love, we party, we travel, we have sex, we have insecurities, we dish, we do and feel almost all the same things we did in our 20s and 30s, but with a lot more wisdom these days. So no matter what age you are, join us as we visit with friends. You might learn something and even better, gain the courage to start a brand new adventure. This is Off Their Rockers, and your life starts now. Joining us on Off Their Rockers today is Dr. Sam Graber. What a fascinating title for what you do, a health advisor for high-performing professionals, specifically women. And I thought, wow, why hadn't anybody thought about that before? And we're thrilled, Lisa and I are thrilled to have you on the show. Tell us a little bit about just to start off and get it out of the way, that you truly are a professional. You have a clinical background. So if you could fill in all of that for us.
Oh, I would love to. Thank you for having me here. And thank you to Vivica for getting us connected. Definitely want to make sure that was known. So my background, I'm formally trained as a chiropractor. I was a chiropractor on the holistic side of that work. I did a lot of nutrition, a lot of whole body kind of health and wellness. Did that work for around 25 years, hands-on work. Loved it. Until the system kind of wore me down, the system of the insurance and everything. And I thought, man, I can't take this passion I have for health and just, retire like that. I'm not built that way. I want to figure out how I can continue to do the things I love when it comes to holistic health. So I decided to jump into the coaching waters. And that has been very interesting, very different, but it allows me to get to help people in a way that our traditional medicine just doesn't quite get to. So now instead of doing diagnosis and, working all those labs and doing all the advanced testing, I get to still help people understand it. I can kind of bridge that gap between their medical team and their healthcare team and where they're at and their understanding. And I tell them, like, my goal is to help elevate you to be the CEO of your own health and well-being, because most people just don't really know how this incredible body and brain work.
Well, and we are programmed to, you're older, you've gone through menopause.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, your metabolism. Sorry, hon, it's gone. There's nothing you can do to get that back. And
Right.
I mean, I've even heard myself in the last 10 years go, I'm just tired. I'm getting old. I guess I'm just getting older. I don't have the energy to pursue some of these projects. And I don't know, for me, and I'll let Lisa jump in here, but a couple of years ago, I was like, wait a minute. I mean, I'm not dead yet, and that's the whole point. That's the whole point of this podcast. Is there are
Yes.
so many women in their 50s, their 60s, their 70s, even in their 80s.
Mhm.
Lisa, how old is your mother?
97.5. She'll be 98 in August.
And
Love
still
it.
goes to Zumba and
Yes. Yes, she's very active. And I know that that's a big piece of her health.
Mhm.
Well, all of ours, really. I mean, I
100%.
absolutely love the avenue that you've started and then where you've gone with it, because I think that's pivotal. And I love the fact we have so many issues that are specific to us as women as we get older that really go unaddressed. And
Completely. Yes.
I love that. And I think that whole combination of the holistic combined with the medical and the whole thing coming together is just really, really valuable what you do.
we're going to have a link to your website where people can go and print out your top 10 metabolism boosting tips.
Yes.
But I just wanted to jump into those. Water. That's your number one tip.
Right. I mean, we are chronically dehydrated because there's so many things that add to that and so many reasons, but oftentimes we just don't do the simple things. So those top 10 tips, they're the simple, basic things like get into nature a little bit more, move your body a bit more. There's a reason we have all these bones and joints for movement and muscles. It's not just to hang clothes on and get you from place A to B. It's literally generating energy for your brain. And it's a phenomenal way that we've been designed, but we've designed our lifestyles are so unnatural. Yeah, we sit in a seated position. We eat all sorts of things that aren't really food. And don't let me go down that rabbit hole because we'll be here forever.
It is crap. Yeah.
Such crap. But we're so disconnected from our nature. And I always say I'm kind of a hippie girl at heart. Like I'm all about getting
Oh my God, you and Lisa.
Oh yeah, are we? Oh, I love it.
That's my same quote.
That's awesome. But it's like we just need more of that. So I try to give people little nuggets that they can kind of chew on and implement. And it's so simple. Like I think we think it has to be more complicated than it is. And we've been taught to, oh, don't you worry your little self about understanding this, and this medical issue. I'm the doctor. I will tell you what you need to know. But that's so false. We're so far removed from our own health and well-being that I mean, look around, right? We've got so much disease that does not need to be happening.
Well, and Lisa knows this. I have my other podcast, hashtag Surviving Alzheimer's. I'm constantly
Yes.
preaching, get a good night's sleep,
Mhm.
learn to de-stress, take a walk, eat lots of
Mhm.
fruits and vegetables, drink water, brush your teeth. How do you, I mean, here we are, we're talking about this. Menopause does not mean your metabolism is ended. Menopause does not mean you can't go for that C-suite office. And don't let anybody tell you, oh, well, you're getting old, you're slowing down. How do we get over that psychological? It's either, oh, I don't know, I'm just getting older. Or what I hear a lot is, oh, well, I don't have time for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's that's a whole lot to unpack because the time issue, more often than not, it's a priority issue and not our priorities, but someone else's. More often than not, if we want to keep it in talking about the women's side of this coin, we're so busy helping everyone else do everything, whether it's invited or not, right? Sometimes we over extend ourselves without being really requested because we think, oh, well, let me take care of everybody else, And society conditions women that we are valued based on our relationships with others, whether it's a spouse or a partner or our children or our boss or everybody else other than us. That's how we get our worth in society when we peel it all back. But if we are constantly trying to take care of everybody else, we don't take care of ourselves.
Well, then I'm going to specifically ask Lisa this question
Yeah.
because Lisa's an amazing filmmaker, a producer, a writer, but your mom lives with you. I don't think we talk about this a lot, Lisa. What are you doing to make sure Lisa keeps going and looks great and has fun and has the energy and can finish our film script and all those things?
It's a good question because it's very challenging. And my whole life, I was a single parent.
Mhm.
I'm a single grandmother, and now I'm a single caretaker, right? And I've had relationships in there in between off and on, but in general, and it's very familiar, right? To be the one doing everything and taking care of everybody else. Um, but I am now in my 60s. So my body is reminding me that I've got to take care of me more now. And it's very challenging, especially with my mother aging too, right? So I just have to, I fit it in. I take her to Zumba. I do Zumba with her. So
Great.
those
Yeah.
2 days a week, I get a little bit of exercise and then I build it in around, because it's become more imperative that I build it in. When I was younger, I didn't need to. It just,
Yeah.
I was in good shape. It wasn't something I had to put effort into, but it is very challenging to juggle all of that at this point in my life. So it takes more effort on my part to do so. But I was very curious about your transition from the chiropractic world and a more structured world into what you're doing now and how can you talk a little bit about that? I mean, has that been more fulfilling?
Hmm.
in
I would
terms.
say it's been different. Yeah. So you mean kind of just how I got that, how I made the transition from
Yeah,
business
because
and
so many people that listen to this podcast, women, they want to get out of the grind. They want to get out of the filling out paperwork. There's something they really want to do. My friend Vivica, who introduced us, she and I had a long walk and long talk one day at her home down in Costa Rica, and she was like, "There's more to my life," and I'm like, "Then do it.
yeah,
Just do it. There's no such thing as job jail." Now,
right.
there are bills that have to be paid, there are things that have to be done. But if you don't do it now or find a way to start doing it now, it's never going to happen. So I think that's what Lisa was asking is I mean, when you decided to make this transition, what'd you do? How'd you do it? How'd you convince yourself you had to do it?
Sure. Well, I probably it multifactorial. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I thought, oh, I love nutrition. I'm
Right.
pretty good at doing what I do. I talk to people all day long about all these things. Sure, I'll just, be a coach. Little did I know the whole world of trying to stand out, was trying to get recognized, getting traction online is so different from in person because I grew my practice in person just through taking great care of people and they would tell their friends and neighbors and all the people would come in and I never had to market. Like I didn't even know what I didn't know. So I would suggest not do it exactly the way I did by just going, here we go. But that's kind of who I am. I'm all in or I'm all out. That's just my person. But when I dove all in, I just started talking to people, telling them what I was up to, and really talking about their nourishment, their health and well-being. And then as I went through my own perimenopause, which believe you me, I was so ill prepared for, physically, like, in good shape, strong, all those things. I was not ready for the emotional side. And like I often say, it's like all this past trauma that I had thought I had dealt with. Oh, hell no. It came to me in like flocks. And I just was not prepared for it. So I feel like that all was happening around the same time that I made my decision to switch my business models. Some of that decision, I think, was fueled by the emotional things kind of coming up and me having this like time of rectifying with myself, I guess, or how you just kind of look at your life and you're like, I'm feeling good here, or I'm not feeling good here. And then I think I just made some decisions, maybe a little rash, a little quickly. But now people ask me, like, how did you go from being an in-person, hands-on doc to what you're doing now? And I actually coach some people on how to make that transition because I wish I had been wise enough to ask someone, but I was
Right.
completely
Well, and
naive.
everybody's journey is different, but it does help to be able to reach out to someone. You
It does.
said something a few minutes ago, and I want to touch on it
Yeah.
before I forget it, and that is we're so busy taking care of other people. And,
Mhm.
I set my family of three darling young men and wonder husband down and said, I spent the first 30 years of my life absolutely driven to establish myself in the
Yeah.
male world of radio. And
Right.
then I spent the next 30 years making sure everything I did was with the priority of your dad's career and the three of you growing into, self-sustaining grown men and good people. And I said, and I've done all that. And I'm 60 now, and I'm not going to cook dinner.
Yeah.
I'm not, you know what? I'm going to, you need to stop working so much. No, I like doing my podcast. I like working on a script with Lisa. And one of
Mhm.
the hardest ones, but I want women to take what you said and then listen to me. Take take a step for one change. The hardest change for me was, honey, I love you, but I'm going to sleep in the other room.
Sure.
My mother died of Alzheimer's. That means I'm at risk. And one of the biggest things you can do, and it's also in your list, is sleep. And I said, you snore. I love you, but you keep petting my ass and waking me. I think, what? Is it an
Yeah.
earthquake? What? Do the
Right.
kids need something? What? I said,
Right.
I need to sleep. And that's one of the hardest things. And
Yeah.
and he still gets, his feelings hurt a little bit, but it's like, you know what? Nope. I'm doing it for me now. I love you. Mwah, good night. I'm going to my room. And I
Thank
don't. Cameron
you.
Diaz sleeps in her own room. I mean, all these women, I'm starting to find out it's been like this closet secret
Yeah,
that people, spouses, are sleeping in separate rooms. It's like, why didn't you tell me that was an option?
there
And
you go.
he does still get his feelings hurt, but I'm like, you know what? It's about me now, and I love you, but it's about me.
Yes, I think you have to find those levers that you can pull that really make the most impact. Sleep, definitely. What you eat, you know, this up and down of our blood sugar all day long, that's not great. You know, and we grew up in the no fat, low fat time, and make sure you eat, keep your metabolism stoked. Make sure you eat every 2 to 3, basically 2 to 3 hours, graze all day. That's a lot of that was horse pucky. It's not real. Like there's no science to it.
I eat
Uh,
all day, but it's just because I'm hungry. It's
yeah.
just, but I've eaten like that my whole life.
Right. And people have to find what their
Yeah.
magic formula is and experiment with different things. So it's really the levers you can pull that are eating, definitely resting, taming your stressors, and the ones that you can't do anything about, because there are, real stressors that people have that they legitimately can't do anything about. We need to find ways to ground ourselves. And one of the better ways is if our blood sugar stays pretty even throughout the day. That's very grounding. And then literally grounding yourself with the earth every once in a while, putting your dang feet on the ground and allowing the ions to exchange between you and the earth. It's not woo-woo, it's science. It's my hippie girl, of course, but
Yes.
there's legit stuff to it. And
I
it's
love that.
simple. It's free,
Yes.
you
Yeah,
know?
well, I love how you defined it as simple, and you're absolutely right. And those are the things we do have control over. There's so much we don't have control over, but there are small things just like what you're saying and suggesting that we do have control over. And oh, I can totally resonate. It's almost like going backwards to our natural selves,
Yes.
regrounding, like you said. And if
Yes.
we look at babies, they'll teach us right away.
Won't they? I know. I mean, there's just so
Sleep
many
when they want, they eat when they want,
tools.
right?
Right, so many signals. And so for women who are in that, the sandwich generation, they're taking care of kids and the adult parent, their parents and maybe their spouse. Like there's a lot of demand, but there are a few things that each one of us can do that we're already doing. Like, maybe evaluate your food choices, making sure you're getting enough of the protein and good real protein. I'm a real protein fan versus like a protein shake. I mean, in a pinch, sure, but the real food is just where it's at. It's nice, yes, if you can do regeneratively raised and, organic everything. That's awesome if that's in your budget. But if it's not, you can still make really good choices. And look at what you're spending eating, because people always say, well, it's so expensive, doc, so expensive. I'm like, if you're eating food that actually nourishes you, so you aren't necessarily hungry all day, you can save a ton on food. So it's like I get real with people. And even though I don't sit knee to knee with them like did for 25 years, which I do miss a little, honestly, and I miss the hands-on stuff. I love my hands-on work. But besides that, just sitting knee to knee across from a screen and saying, well, let's look at these things and let's demystify this. It's expensive and it takes too much time and all that. I mean, give me an excuse and I will show you a solution. I've seen them all. I've heard all the excuses in all this time.
Well, I had
I
a
love
specific question. You're talking about protein.
Sure.
You do actually, though, you do talk about protein powder if you do need to
Yes.
supplement something.
If you need to.
Like when we're traveling, I'll pick up a protein shake or something. I mean, if we're going to be on the road for 11 hours,
Yeah.
fill up the car, I stretch while
Yeah.
I'm, filling up the car, and then I go into the convenience store and try to find a protein shake or something just to make sure. Um, but I do the protein shake in the mornings.
Okay.
And you recommend specific types of protein powders?
If someone backs me into a corner, yes, I'll recommend some. But more often than not, I say, grab a couple eggs and some
Okay,
bacon.
I was gonna ask what would I replace it with? A
Yeah.
banana, some eggs?
I'm really more on like there's the plant-based movement and I'm more the animal-based movement. Like I'm all about getting good animal protein, so because that's the more natural for us and the more complete. So it's eggs if you want typical breakfast foods. Otherwise, have some leftovers. Have whatever you've made for dinner and lunch for your breakfast.
But Charlie says if you put an egg on it, it's breakfast.
It's breakfast. I like it.
Just put an egg on it. It becomes breakfast.
I'm
So,
going to steal that from Charlie.
Dr. Sam Graber, what did you have for breakfast this morning?
This morning, I'm actually fasting this morning.
Oh, you
So
are?
I
Okay.
incorporate some time restricted eating. Sometimes I do longer fasts because I'm always concerned about insulin. That's my number one thing that I work on. And there's a whole other podcast, if not workshops on that one. But the reason is, I want to keep my insulin in check. And as we get into our 50s, 60s, and 70s, our body starts working differently. So sometimes I abstain altogether and then I just have my food in a shorter window of time, meet my protein, get good healthy fats. And if I'm incorporating fiber in a way, I make sure I get good green veg. And it's all just kind of intuitively eating at this point because I've done so much of the healing and detox from all the sugar and all the processed food. Because man, that stuff, I mean,
We do have so much sugar and so much processed food.
so much.
So
So
what I'm hearing is that in a lot of ways we need to learn a lot, right? About kind of what our body needs.
Mhm.
And you've got a lot of background in that, which I find very, very valuable because you're a woman and you're knowledgeable about the whole thing about menopause.
Yeah.
Because I found it very difficult. I have osteoporosis, and I
Yeah.
found it extremely challenging to find solid information about osteoporosis. Now, I've looked it up, and you can obviously look it up. But in terms of finding professionals that are knowledgeable about it, it's very difficult. And it's primarily a woman's issue. So
And most just wanted to give me a pill, and that's it. We'll give you a
You're
shot.
supposed to-
We're going to give you a shot that lasts a year. I would
did
like
not
to know
want to do
what's
that.
in that shot.
You
Yeah.
and me both. Yeah. No, there's so much we can do with our daily decisions. There are things we want to do more of and things we want to do less of. And it's definitely getting knowledge. And some of it is honestly unlearning, like
Yeah.
unlearning, right? Like the eat every 2 to 3 hours or, oh, God forbid, oh, here's one of my favorite. Don't lift heavy because you'll get bulky. That one drives me crazy. I'm like, you should be so lucky to get bulky and muscular, and that's freaking awesome and it's gorgeous. But it's like the misnomers and the
Yeah.
stuff out there, the myths are just horrible.
I learned during COVID, you could just grab like the full soda stream bottles out of the refrigerator. If you can't get to a gym, you don't have weights, or you could use your own body weight. I do a lot of planking, sit-ups, yoga, stretching,
Yes.
that sort of thing.
Functional, like to make sure you're functional, because isn't that the goal? Like my goal is not to look good in a bikini when I'm 107, which is my goal.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
I mean, if I do, it's great, but I want to be functional. I want to have my brain and Dan, I would love to talk with you about Alzheimer's because there's so many new research papers coming out about, diabetes type 3 or insulin resistance of the brain, and it's linked to Alzheimer's. And honestly, that's what got me down the rabbit hole of getting more into ketosis, low carb, really looking at insulin because I do not want to get Alzheimer's or any dementia. I love my brain.
And
brain is
my
like,
mom ate carbs. Oh my God, that woman, she didn't sleep. She's stressed.
yeah,
Even though everybody thought she was happy-go-lucky, she was really stressed. She was miserable about a lot of things. But she ate processed diet Dr. Pepper every day, crackers. God, that woman, look, you want a cracker with that? No, Mom, I don't want a cracker with that. She ate tons of processed carbs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that stuff is really not food. And we have to unplug ourselves from convenience. But honestly, it's like once you get in the habit of living the way I do and the lifestyle I promote with people and teach every single day, once you get in the habit of it, you realize, okay, it's just my new habit. I was in the habit of grab and go for 20 years, and now I'm in the habit of doing it this way.
And I promise you're going to have more energy. You're going to have more brain power. Again, clinical advice for high performing women. And don't let anybody tell you at 50, 60, 70, you can't be. If I hear one more person say, "When are you going to retire?" Why? I'm having an absolute ball. Why would I do that? Okay, before we run out of time, I always like to ask this question, Sam. What
Okay.
is one interesting or fun fact we don't know about you and didn't uncover in any of our research?
Ooh, well, one thing I'm really like super obsessed with right now is I want to start like a cut flower garden. I cannot get enough of the like, well, YouTube is now feeding my obsession. Yay, thank you, YouTube. Because you watch the videos and they keep popping up. And I just am enamored with this idea of having cut flowers and growing them myself. And I don't know, it's like bringing it all creative. I think it's very therapeutic for me to be in nature. I don't like to wear the gloves. I love to get the dirt in my nails. So that's something that didn't come. But
That's grounding, right?
yes, very grounding.
Garden and cut flowers and put a little arrangement together.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
It's
can
my
see
next thing.
to that.
Yeah.
If people wanted to connect with you, how could they? If they
They,
wanted,
yeah. Thank you for that. They can go to my website, which is my name as you see it on here without the period. So drsamgraber.com. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn as far as social media. I'm not really active on any of the others. I do have, a presence there. But if they want to engage in conversation, hit me up on LinkedIn or go to my website. Definitely download my top 10 tips, and even feel free if something that we talked about kind of has your attention, fill out the contact form and it goes directly to me. I'm a team of one. And I'll happily connect with somebody and see if there's something that's on their mind or heart, or they want to learn more. Happy to expand.
that's
Final
wonderful.
words to
Yeah.
a woman listening to this she's right there. She's right there on the edge,
Mhm.
and she could go either way. She could give up, or she could go, "You know what? I'm gonna take some of this and I'm gonna make a change. I'm gonna move forward." Final words of advice to push her in the right direction.
Yeah, she is more powerful than she's been led to believe for her entire life. She knows it deep in her core. She knows she's meant for something, but she's allowed that stuff to get into her own brain. It's time to unplug from that and really look to people that are living like us. Like all the women on this screen are defying things that society has told us our entire lives that we must fill into. She needs to change. She needs to up level her friend group. That's a big key. But those would be it. And you're just more powerful than you have ever been led to believe.
Thanks for listening to Off Their Rockers. You can join hosts Dayna Steele, me, and Lisa Forehand as we continue to discover women around the world living their life to its fullest and then some. Are you one of these women? We want to talk to you. Let us know at daynasteele.com. Off Their Rockers is produced by JFA Inc., executive producer Dayna Steele, copyright JFA Inc.